Ray Perez, who I believe, oh, he's on the Fabrizio deck. He's on Esper Token. So let's get down to the feature match and watch some magic. Hello and welcome to round 10 of Grand Prix Indianapolis. We are going to kick off day 2 with Brandon Burton with his Atarka red deck against Ray Perez on, not Bant tokens, it's Esper tokens. The pros call this deck the Fabrizio deck. They give all credit to Fabrizio and Terry, who finished second in last weekend's Mox Championship on Magic Online. Fabrizio has got a pretty good reputation as a brewer, and his latest concoction, basically a black-white tokens deck, but there is enough blue mana. You get the blue mana for free given the whole fetch land, battle land mana base. So there's some sideboard blue cards, and we're calling it Esper for that reason.
Yeah, this is just a black-white main deck, although not a lot of tokens for a token deck. This is pretty similar to a lot of the decks we saw on the Pro Tour that were a little bit more Esper, a little higher on the blue cards. But he does have Sorin, he does have Gideon, and of course Secure the Waste, a really powerful card that didn't really get its chance to shine with Elspeth in the format. But a lot of decks that really wanted Elspeth have been going to this card as their kind of go-to finisher.
Definitely, yeah. Secure the Waste. Definitely got a window where no longer competing with Elspeth, and so seems to be getting more play. Dragon Fodder is Brandon's turn 2 play. Not as blistering a start as this deck is capable of, that's for sure.
Yeah, no turn 1 play is pretty rough, but being on the play is a pretty big advantage. If he had no turn 1 play and on the draw, that can be tough to come back from.
Yeah, I feel like you mulligan most hands that don't have a turn 1 play with this deck. The rest of his hand must be good.
Well, he also may have mulliganed. I don't think we actually caught that. Does he have a full
fair.
hand?
I don't know.
He may have a full hand.
Ray mulliganed, it sounds like.
Jeff Holman, your booster draft number 42.
Hangerback Walker for Ray here on turn 2.
Pretty good answer to Dragon Fodder.
Indeed. Goblin's just going to go charging in.
We're still missing a few players.
Probably in Atarka's command to make sure he doesn't lose one in combat with that Hangerback Walker.
Looks like it.
And Windswept Teeth. Yep. Cinderglade able to come into play untapped with the 2 mountains start, and he's just going to throw in the Atarka's command for damage.
I think damage has already happened.
Ah, got it.
Maybe. Might be a Whirling Outburst.
That's what it looks like to me.
Similar.
Yeah, Whirling Outburst.
So lots of goblins in play. That painful truth in Ray Perez's hand looking extra painful with 5 creatures in play.
Do you have any experience with this particular matchup?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I've been playing Atarka Red in Standard lately, but I haven't run into the tokens list.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting list. He's got the Scoured Barrens we see in play. He's got 3 copies of Caves of Koilos, which really, his lands do a number on trying to get battle lands into play, because 4 Shambling Vents as well. So can definitely struggle to get those blue mana into play, which I guess is why the blue cards got relegated to the sideboard. Just 5 copies of various counter magic cards and Dragon Lord Silumgar.
Abbott for Abbott. Does he have a land in his hand, or is that Abbott going to go away? Doesn't look like he has another land in his hand, so all the goblins head into the red zone.
Well, this has got to be.
Well, Abbott has summoning sickness.
It's got to feel pretty good for Ray that he's played the Abbott, didn't hit a land, and doesn't have Atarka's command up. So now he gets to kind of block pretty freely. Titan Strength is not too big of a cost, so a much safer attack.
So 3 damage goes through. A Thopter's created, 2 goblins die. Oh, he does have the 4th land. Okay. So that Abbott, which is sitting sideways at the bottom of his graveyard, can be played from exile.
But whatever card it hits, will not be able to. I wonder if it's aware that that is sitting there and available.
I think Brandon's aware. I'm not sure his mom understands exactly how these intricacies work. I mean, if you haven't read, Corbin Hassler wrote the story up for the Pro Tour. Brandon has been battling cystic fibrosis for his entire life. He is in a wheelchair.
Yeah, but
Yep, Brandon's digging for it. He knew it was there. And so Brandon's mother comes with him to events to help just deal with the mechanics of physically playing the game. A lot of Brandon's Magic's played on Magic Online, where he is one of the legendary grinders as Sandy Dog MTG.
another rabbit. This one will not come back.
Fair enough.
Interesting decision to not play the land before combat to at least threaten a Tarkus command. Although I think Ray's blocks are kind of set in stone that he's not going to take the 5 damage, and he really just had to block at that point.
Yeah, and even a Tarkus command, it's not a catastrophe. Bad, but I think he would block anyway. He's going to wind up with He's still going to wind up with 3 Thopters. He's just going to kill 1 Goblin instead of 2 and take some damage.
It's possible he actually has the Tarkus command and knew that the blocks were going to happen. He wasn't going to cast it, so he.
But he wanted the 2 Abbots and the Prowess triggers.
Yeah.
Quite possibly. I mean, I feel like his hand should still have gas, given that he kept a hand with no 1-drop.
Yeah, I mean, a Tarkus command is kind of the best thing you can have.
Survey says, there it is.
Can't
All
top that one.
Pump up the team, deal 3 damage. The damage drops Ray to 11, and then he's taking 2, 4, 7 damage.
8 with
down to
prowess.
4?
Down to
Oh, 8. Yeah, down to 3 with the Prowess trigger.
Yeah, all of Ray's creatures are going away.
Yeah, one more
Looks
spell
like
from
he's
Brandon.
got an Utter End in hand, so he's considering Utter End versus pumping Hangerback Walker, because now the Abbot's a 4/3 as well.
Right. That Abbot is not going to die in combat with a 2/2 Hangerback Walker. Looks like, yeah, Utter End is the play. The unblocked Abbot is exiled, but this Hangerback Walker is now a chump blocker. Oh, Tamer Battle Rage. Presumably targeting the blocked Abbot.
That is
Prowess
lethal.
trigger, double strike. Is it now lethal?
Yeah, that's 10. The Abbot's a 5-power creature.
The Abbot is a 5-power creature. That's
it'll
10.
deal 8 trample.
And then 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it looks lethal.
So
Brandon Burton had the
takes game 1.
goods. There you go. Game 1 to Atarka Red, and Brandon takes a 1-0 lead.
So he did have a lot of gas. You were right.
Yeah.
Not having a 1-drop, but having a way to make 5 goblins by turn 3 to go with your Tarkus command and an Abbot.
And maybe
I don't know what was actually in the hand and what came off the top, but I imagine most of those cards were. I mean,
he had 5 land by the end of the game,
lands,
so,
yeah,
those were probably some of the draw phases. All right. Meanwhile, 8-0-1 Andrew is 8-1. Andrew does not have a draw. Andrew is paired up against Patrick, who has only a draw. The battle for Esper Control Supremacy. Couple of longtime grinders. I mean, these guys have been playing against each other since Ohio Valley PTQs back in the mid-90s.
Can you still call them grinders when they are a Hall of Famer and a Platinum Pro?
All right. I appreciate the longevity and the amount of grinding that has gone on over the years.
One-time grinders of many decades ago.
All right, fine.
Who are now 2 of the best players to ever play.
Narset is
Look at the speed that Chapin's trying to untap with. There's nothing in play. Nothing. It's not excited or anything. It's just I gotta play quick. Every turn's got to be quick.
Yeah, Narset Transcendent, I feel like, is the card that Andrew's been playing more than most people. Like, he dabbled with it a little bit in previous seasons in some of the control lists he was playing with. 2 in the main this time around.
Yeah, Pro Tour Born of the Gods, I had Narset in my sideboard, which was a pretty good sideboard card against a lot of the control decks at the time, where you just needed to protect it from a hero's downfall basically for a turn, and it would end the game. But there aren't hero's downfalls anymore, and not as many people playing cards like Ruinous Path.
Yeah,
so
very few Ruinous Paths. Seen a couple, but that's...
There's a lot of Utter Ends floating around, but they're generally like a 1-of. So there's not a lot of great answers to Narset, and the card advantage it provides, especially in a deck like Cuneo's where he doesn't have creatures, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, Andrew has set up a deck where every single non-lane spell is a draw off of Narset. He doesn't even play Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
Not to mention how hard it is to lose if you ever rebound a dig through time.
And we've seen him just stranding creature kill spells in his opponent's hands, too. I mean, it's not just for Narset, it's also, all those fiery impulses just getting trapped and Crackling Dooms becoming deal 2.
Absolutely, yeah, completely true. We've seen a lot of decks that creature removal is not great against, and then even creature removal in Old Standard, people tend to have like Hero's Downfalls, which can take care of Planeswalkers, and Crackling Dooms would be decent against something like Sorin, but he just doesn't have those kind of cards in his deck. He's got Planeswalkers with huge loyalty, or Ob Nixilis that comes down, just starts drawing cards, and Narset draws cards, and just keeps drawing more and more cards.
All right, Andrew taps 8 for a dig through time.
Of course, that's what it costs.
Scatter to the winds. Patrick's not interested in awakening a land. Majoring Network at the top of the screen, by the way. Pat's up to 7 counters on the Majoring Network. His list is a little closer to the Reed Duke list. It is not Reed's list. Pat's certainly got some of his own tricks, but he does have, Ugins off Majoring Network at his disposal. Andrew, meanwhile, that dig was, of course, bait. He wanted to get Pat to commit a counter so that he could drop Ob Nixilis.
Yeah, it's interesting that the awaken cost is kind of a hindrance in a lot of ways, as creature removal all of a sudden gets turned on.
Yeah. I think it's nice to have the option, but
oh, absolutely, nice to have the option. But in this matchup,
mostly a cancel.
Especially when you're casting it on your own end step and your opponent gets to untap with probably a whole grip full of removal.
Yeah, but it's really on Chapin now to react. That Ob Nixilis is going to win the game. I mean, not only is it card advantage, potentially, but that emblem actually is a victory condition. Very quick victory condition if Andrew ever got to it. Stasis Snare on the Shambling Vent. Yeah. Chapin obliged to try attacking Ob Nixilis, but shockingly, Andrew had some creature removal. Now, Jace. I see a couple of Ojutai's commands in Patrick's hand.
This is fantastic for Cuneo. Of course, just a handful of Silk Wraps.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, it seems like these guys have stared at each other for a while, and we kind of got here for the good part.
Yeah, getting to turn on your Stasis Snare, which you can cast as an instant to take care of the Shambling Vents, is fantastic. Now he gets to only spend 2 mana to deal with Jace, so still going to have all his lands available to him and keep drawing cards without Nixilis.
Yeah.
And Ojutai's command just doesn't bring Jace back. Like, great removal spell for these. The thing is, Chapin's deck is a deck that wins with Ugin.
Ah, ultimate price, my own Jace, says Patrick Chapin. I want that boy in the graveyard. Also, he recognizes he's never going to get to ultimate price anything ever.
That is completely true, and Ojutai's command now just became a much better card, and ultimate price was already doing nothing.
Yeah, now it's a cantrip. Ray's dead. Funny. And Chapin already knew it was coming, right? No hesitation about the ultimate price on his own Jace. All right, he taps out for this Ojutai's command, which is set up as his Clash of Wills. Yeah, Andrew will happily tap 2 to Clash and keep Jace in the yard.
Yeah, Clash, getting value out of that Clash when there's a Majoring Network on 8 is pretty nice. He just can't keep up with this mana with Majoring Network, so cashing in that Clash is a
yeah, that was
nice value.
I don't know that Chapin could afford to wait though. Not spend that 4 mana. Well, I mean, I guess he could have been putting a counter on a Majoring Network instead of the Ojutai's command. But his decision looks correct to me. That Ob Nixilis is just a huge clock.
The bigger question just basically came down to whether he needed to attack with the Shambling Vents that particular turn.
Fair. Here's 2 Shambling Vents. What does Cuneo?
Cuneo has his own Shambling Vents.
All right, Stasis Snare. And Stasis Snare. Wow, well, Andrew seems to be taking control of this match. Let's head back to our first match and see if Brandon Burton can clean this up. He's got the Mountain Monastery Swift Spear draw. That is the start you want with a Tarka Red. Ray goes fetch land for comes into play, tap Prairie Stream, and is contemplating his turn 2 play.
One of the better turn 2 plays you can have, taking care of that Swift Spear.
Bloodstained Mire for Mountain. Now he's got his 2 basics, future tools, can go get Cinder Glades. And what's the turn 2 play? Dragon Fodder? Abbott. Yeah, you got to run that guy out there. Obviously not going to be able to play the card that he's putting into exile, but it's a lot better to put a 2-1 prowess into play than not do anything on turn 2.
No turn 3 play, although it looks like he has secure the waste should he want it.
Cinder Glade comes down. 3 mana Wordling Outburst.
Just I would imagine.
Triggering prowess. Attacking with his 3/2 Abbott. You saw secure the waste?
Looks like secure the waste.
So he can make 2 tokens if he wants to trade secure the waste for the Abbott.
Pretty reasonable. Just keep your life total afloat, depending on the rest of his hand.
Brandon goes ahead and puts the Abbott into the graveyard. I assume Ray announced what he was about to do.
Murderous Cut.
Oh, okay. That works too. Certainly better than burning a secure.
Yep. If you're gonna, try to trade off as you can, Murderous Cut not too good against Warding Outburst, but works pretty well against an Abbott. Looks like an end hostilities. Is that right?
Planar Outburst? Or is it?
It looked like actual end hostilities to me.
Interesting.
I could be wrong. It's hard to see. It's pretty far.
There
to the
is
side of the
one end
screen.
hostilities in the sideboard. You're right.
So he's contemplating whether he wants to put the hanger back down or just set up to cast the mass removal spell next turn. The problem with just passing here is you are at risk of dying, but you're still at risk of dying even by playing Hangerback Walker.
All right. Plays a land. Sends the goblins. Threatening any number of instant speed shenanigans. Ray is going to block.
Interesting.
One, two, three. Oh, yeah, okay. Brandon just trades off the goblin, but makes 3 more.
That Foothills cannot be tapped for mana. There is no Urborg.
Right. Should have been a Cinder Glade tap for mana. Or Foothills sacked. And Brandon sees it. And there's the end hostilities. 5 tokens wiped away.
Yeah, losing your hanger back to end up just casting the end hostilities and losing the Thopter is not exactly where you want to be, although not really given a choice if you're going to choose to play it and block with it. Once they cast the second Whirling Outburst, you are obliged to cast your removal spell.
Pretty much.
The question is just whether you actually want to play the Hangerback Walker, and if you do, whether you want to block with it or just leave it up to actually pump the next turn, or if your opponent plays a second Whirling Outburst, then you take 1 extra point of damage, but you have a 1/1 Thopter behind, which is actually very relevant against the red deck that has a lot of 1 toughness creatures.
Habit of Carol Keep. Time to reload, says Brandon Burton. Flips a mountain, which will, of course, head straight into play. And looks like that's all he's got for creatures this turn.
Oh, secure in hand, and looks like another Hangerback Walker. It looks like Ray is
15
taking
life, too, right?
pretty firm control of this game. You can still get comboed out,
It-
but
Brandon's down to the combo at this point.
it's basically down to the combo at this point.
The combo, of course, being Become Immense and Teamer Battle Rage.
Yeah, he already had to exile a Teamer Battle Rage to the first Abbott.
Does he play 3 or 4?
I believe he has three of each
3 of each.
in the main deck. He might have less after sideboard.
Oh, sure. Bellstriker dashes out.
Interesting. Well, he's got to have some spells in hand.
Certainly representing Atarka's command, attacking with a pair of 2-power creatures into a 3/3 hanger back.
Really needs more than a Tarkus command here, though, just because it's not going to leave him in a good spot.
He doesn't need more than Atarka's command for the attack to be correct. He needs more than Atarka's command to win.
Okay.
Okay,
So
Wild
he's
Slash
keep
is
the
going to
Abbot.
trigger Prowess. So 2 Prowess triggers plus the Atarka's command gets the Abbot up to 4 toughness. Hanger back merely makes Thopters and
8 points of damage.
yeah, Brandon hits 2 from the Bellstriker, 5 from the burn, and then the 1 from the command on the Bellstriker.
Do we know how many cards are in Brandon's hand at this point?
There don't seem to be, I'm guessing not many.
The Bellstriker will be one of them.
Yeah, you just saw Brandon's mom reach over and pick that up. Shambling Vent is amongst Ray Perez's lands. 2 cards left in hand for Brandon. Shambling Vent chipping over for a couple points of lifelink, though.
Yeah, that's huge. Temur Battle Rage is kind of what you're looking to finish the game with, and it's pretty easy to get out of range here if there's no Become Immense with the Shambling Vents.
Yeah, I wonder how much. I don't know how
Alright, here's
Brandon's
another
sideboard's
Abbot.
this. That's a pretty good draw.
Just another land.
Yeah. He does have a couple Hooting Mandrills in his sideboard. It's going to be interesting to bring in against decks that can essentially kill all the small creatures. A lot of instant speed, sort of
I mean, if
shock
he knows
type
the
spells.
list, looking at Ray Perez's list, we see Ultimate Price, Ruinous Path, 2 Utter Ends, 3 Murderous Cuts, lots of spot removal that makes Hooting Mandrills not look too exciting. But
Yeah, the 2 Hordling Outbursts from the sideboard are almost certainly in then. The trick is you really have to decide how much of the combo do you want in after sideboarding.
yes.
I mean, Hooting Mandrills is at least, you're not going to get 2 for 1 off of Hooting Mandrills. You're going to get 1 for 1. You force them to have a spell, and then they 1 for 1 you.
Ray Perez looking to close this game out pretty quickly. The Thopters come in, secures the last card in hand, can cast that for 7.
Sure.
He would have to take some damage to do so. But so I imagine we're going to start with a Zergo Bellstriker getting dashed.
Andrew Cuneo did win that game 1. Sure looked like he had control of it. Had Omnixilus going. Had the stasis snares for all 3 of the Shambling Vents that were attempting to attack Omnixilus. So
Yeah, that matchup's got to get real interesting after sideboarding.
I imagine we'll have some time for it. Yeah, there's the Secure the Ways for 7, and Brandon has seen enough. It'll be a game 3 to decide here. And it'll be a shuffle cam. Took Cuneo a little longer to win that game 1 than I would have expected. Thought it was almost over when we left.
Yeah, Chapin had a number of cards in hand that it's possible he could find a way to deal with Omnixilus, and fighting over Ugin I think is the big deal, although I'm
Sure.
not sure Chapin could even find an Ugin in time necessarily. Only 2 in the list.
Did you get 2 in a Haven, just like Reed?
I'm not sure. Let's check. 2 and a Haven, yep.
The one of the things Pat has going on that I think this is a matchup where it should be particularly good is a couple Monastery Mentors in his sideboard. I think that's also part of the plan of how you don't take a bunch of draws.
Yeah.
You can win
reasonable.
pretty quickly. He had told me he had 1 round yesterday where he attacked once, but it was for 76. Just unloaded with Monastery Mentor on like the first extra turn or something.
Yeah, lots of good sideboard options for Chapin. He has 3 copies of Duress, 2 copies of Dispel. Can probably take out that main deck Surge of Righteousness.
You think?
Canada Champion wins, I think.
Well, here's turn 2 Jace.
It's a good turn 2 play.
It's the best one in the format.
It's the best one in lots of formats.
Yeah, the best one in Vintage. It's probably not the best turn 2 play in Vintage, but it's a
Probably
fine
the best
turn
turn 2 creature.
That's true. It's really turn 1 off of Mox anyway.
Wow, you're so lucky.
Wow. No Silk Wrap for Cuneo.
Don't think you can afford to leave Silk Wraps in your deck after sideboard, is my guess. At least not many of them. No, I'm not entirely sure what his plan is, to be honest. I guess you have to leave some stuff in.
He has a Stasis Snare, but it's going to get duressed here, I would think.
He doesn't have double white yet, but he does have Anticipate.
Yeah. Doesn't Pat takes Stasis Snare, right? Or is that Quarantine Field or Stasis Snare?
That is Stasis
Yeah, it's
Snare,
Stasis
but there's
Snare,
also
that's
a
what I
Dig
thought.
Through Time. There's
But
a lot of powerful
Jace,
cards.
I take Stasis Snare and try to be on the Jace plan.
I don't think I do.
What do you take?
Well, looks like Pat's got a Dig Through Time in his hand. Anticipate can take the white mana.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of reasonable options there.
Anticipates. That's a pretty good line too. You're right that he was going to anticipate for white mana. So Patrick does leave himself in the spot where if Andrew
Or
just
anticipate
draws
for
the
just
right mana.
a removal spell to kill the Jace. A lot of different things he could get. Again, not really sure what his deck looks like after sideboard.
Anticipate. Does Andrew just dispel this? I guess not.
It's hard to use your Dispel and Anticipate when you know that both decks have 4 copies of Dig Through Time and
Yeah,
counter
right.
magic to fight those. Although this means Jace is going to get to flip.
I guess that was happening either way.
Yeah, so he doesn't even care about the Silk Wrap.
The Stasis Snare, yeah.
Yes.
Murderous Cut still in Pat's deck. All right, let's get back to the first match. Pat Chapin certainly out in
Silk
front in
Wrap.
this one.
He does have Silk Wrap in his deck.
Wow, interesting. Too late, though. One turn of Jace Fringe Prodigy, and all of a sudden there's a Planeswalker on the table.
Yeah, being able to flip Jace and flashback to rest in a matchup like this is just incredible.
Definitely.
Turn 1 Swift Spear. The Sandy Dog patented play. Exactly where you want to be, too.
Yeah, you told the story yesterday. I think it's worth retelling, actually. I mean, Brandon does play a lot of aggro decks on Magic Online. He got paired against Brad Nelson earlier this week. Played at turn 1 Island, and Brad was so taken aback that he took a screenshot, sent it to Jerry T. I'm not dreaming this, right? Sandy Dog played an Island. And I guess Brandon was thinking about playing Jeskai this weekend. Couldn't beat him, thought about joining him. Played Jeskai in a grinder on Friday, and it was Brad Nelson, in fact, who just said, look, Brandon, you're really good with the red deck. I never beat you. You should just run the Atarka red. And here he is at 8-1. Dispel on Titan Strength. Brandon just wanted a scry trigger and some damage, looks like.
Yeah, no second land.
Right.
Gotta play something.
It's a pretty good dispel from Ray. Now here's Duress. Lightning Berserker, Hordling Outburst, Dragon Fodder, Abbot, and Battle Rage. What do you take?
Well, I would certainly be leaning hard toward Dragon Fodder.
That was the one I was looking at. Yeah, there's nothing to combo with the Battle Rage. Without a Titan Strength or a Become Immense, it's not the most efficient trick.
Well, Ray's also got a full hand, so I don't know if he has just instant speed removal. There's 3 Surge of Righteousness, I believe, in his sideboard.
Wow.
So there's
Takes
a
the Battle
reasonable
Rage.
chance that the Battle Rage does nothing against him. Of course, if he has a hand that has no interaction, that could be completely different. If he has a hand with a sweeper, you might not care about Dragon Fodder, etc. Looks like there's a Knight of the White Orchid. Who's that? End hostilities again?
1/1 hanger back, not super scary. Randy goes crashing in. It's going to chump Zergo and turn into a Thopter.
Interesting. It looks like he has Gideon in hand, so just looking to, I guess, stabilize life and doesn't have extra mana left over for Hanger back next turn. Oh, looks like a Sorin off the top, which would be pretty
jeez.
incredible. The combination of being able to turn Gideon into a creature and then to give it +1/+0 and lifelink is tough to beat.
I mean, even if you couldn't turn Gideon into a creature, just giving lifelink to the ally tokens, I think, would be good enough in this matchup.
It would be good, but one hit with that Gideon might just end it on the spot.
And Brandon still... I mean, this looked like a totally keepable one-land hand. I mean, you do one of the... It's almost... I think of it as a strength of the Atarka Red deck, that it can keep a one-land draw.
Yep. A strength and a weakness, because when you don't draw the second one, it could look like this.
This does happen from time to time. All right, ally trades off with Zergo.
Yeah, that should just about do. It looks like a
Because
languish
of
as
the Sorin.
well. Oh, boy. Is that languish? Is it playing languish? It does have one languish. Yeah,
He also knows
it's going
there's
to be a problem.
Dragon Fodder Hordling Outburst in Brandon's hand.
Oh, he's going to go the Sorin route.
But made an ally with Gideon. He's not attacking with Gideon. Yeah, still trying to turtle up.
I do not agree with that.
+1 lifelink and no attacks.
Yeah. I mean, they're good blockers, but it's not really the most productive way to win the game, I guess.
I think he's trying to play for this languish. He wants Brandon to, draw his land, play his Dragon Fodder, maybe play the Hordling Outburst. Is that one Swift Spear attacking?
It's bizarre. So Ray's going to get to gain 5 life.
Oh, it's both Swift Spears attacking. Okay.
Well, he's definitely going to block both if he's setting up languish.
Yeah.
Gains 5. Can gain another 6 on his turn. There will be no creatures in play to even threaten his planeswalkers. Another copy of Duress. Not bad.
Jeez. Taking Hordling Outburst. Going to leave Brandon with a pair of Abbots.
So we're going to get a lot of Esper on Esper, huh?
Don't forget, if you're going to register for our Super Sunday Series standard, we will need a deck list for that. So don't forget to either bring your deck list for registration or fill one out after you register.
Here's the languish. Ray sweeps away everything. He's actually hellbent. No cards in his hand. But two
Certainly doesn't need
planeswalkers.
any.
No, he doesn't need any cards to win from here.
Take up Gideon. Take up Sorin.
Yeah,
Concede.
Brandon knows it's over. That'll do it. Ray Perez moves to 9-1. Brandon Burton still in contention, 8-2. I mean, X2 is certainly going to make this top 8 with 1,100 players here. Probably an X2
Probably got to
one.
win 5 in a row.
Might be able to draw the last one. Maybe not coming from behind with the
Yeah.
breakers he's going to have.
It's unlikely.
Yeah. Brandon
Also,
got
if only one is X2 is going to make it, it's going to be hard to find yourself in a position where someone will draw with you.
True.
All right.
So this is still game 2.
Well, Jace isn't in play.
Yeah,
so
where's
that's-
Jace? What happened?
That's something.
Presumably got exiled?
Is this still game 2?
There's about the right amount of stuff in play for it to be game 2. But yeah, I thought Chapin... It's almost like you can see the memory of Jace in the Chapin's full grip of cards.
Yeah, I mean, there could certainly be a lot of things exiled. I believe Chapin had sacked a Windswept Heath on like turn 3. I guess that has been exiled by now for something.
Dragon Lord Silumgar, just as a flyer. Nothing to steal. Just want to attack. 2, 3, 4, 5 now. Planar Outburst.
Looks like Chapin's up a number of cards, but it's hard to see quite what he's got in hand. No, maybe not. Oh, he's got about 6 cards in hand. Looks like a Dragon Lord Ojutai came in out of the sideboard.
Yep. And Cuneo doesn't have that many planar outbursts, so may not be trivial to deal with. Yeah, just ships the turn back.
I mean, attacking with Dragon Lord Ojutai does open it up to Stasis Snare.
Right.
Not sure how many Stasis Snares he has to stack either.
Some
like
we
a
saw
Silk
even
Wrap
had
in
Silk
hand.
Wrap, so.
Yeah, he may have all of them. It's like a negate, a Silk Wrap.
He may also know about the Monastery Mentor sideboard plan that Chapin has.
Yeah.
Certainly a reason you would leave more Silk Wraps in your deck. Ojutai not going to attack. Patrick is not interested in attacking into that much untapped mana.
Yeah.
Is interested in Ojutai's command.
Looks like Cuneo drew an Utter End, which is another way that can take care of Dragon Lord.
That was game 4, draw a card.
And he's got Silumgar's command flooded.
Standard registration. Don't forget that it does require a deck list, so make sure you fill out a deck list after you complete your registration. You have less than 5 minutes to complete that registration.
Chapin anticipates. Sees an Ugin. And then top decks of Jace.
Got just the silkiest answer for now. Although it looks like Chapin also has an Utter End that can take care of the Silk Wrap, so just answers and answers.
These decks are mostly answers. Is kind of how Esper control works.
That is how no win condition Esper wins against no win condition Esper. Answers.
There's the Silk Wrap. And yep, Jace is locked up. For now. Here's Utter End? Yes. Utter End on Silk Wrap. Andrew negates, and Jace stays locked up. Chapin has to content himself with charging his majoring network. Time to start attacking with Ojutai.
Well, Chapin has Dig Through Time and a counter in hand. Things are looking pretty great for him. Silumgar's command is an expensive negate. Murderous Cut.
1 mana, kill your Ojutai. Patrick's going to use his counterspell here. I think.
Let's go with Silumgar's command, negate mode.
Okay. 3 left so that he can still scatter to the winds.
Just about Shambling Vents instead of Silk Wrap.
Huh. And Andrew goes for Utter End on Ojutai. Patrick has Clash of Wills. So both attempts to kill Dragon Lord Ojutai are countered, and Patrick gets a free Dig Through Time for his trouble.
Not a bad place to be.
More murderous cuts in Pat's hand than I would have expected him to have after sideboarding. Maybe he just can't sideboard to no creature removal.
Well, I mean, they do take care of Shambling Vents. That is a thing.
Well, if Andrew opens them before he has a Narset emblem.
Right.
Like, a lot of Andrew's plan is to get a Narset emblem, shut off all non-creature spells. Then this coast is clear for the Shambling Vents.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent gets a Narset Emblem, though, then your Esper deck really couldn't do much anyway. You've got a couple
Well, maybe
creatures,
they get a
that's it.
Narset emblem because your hand's full of murderous cuts and he's not activating his Shambling Vents.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else he would want to have. I think he has everything in his sideboard. I think the Dispels, the Ojutais, the Silumgar, we've seen Tassiger, the Duresses. I guess the question is whether Monastery Mentor is in.
Yeah, and that's what I was suggesting. I think that it's plausible. I mean, it would be totally reasonable in this format to just not have a sideboard they can go to 0 creature kill spells. The odds of running, I mean, it's the first creatureless deck I've seen.
Right. I mean, he's got 2 planar outbursts and a languish in his main deck. Those, I assume, have to come out. Not sure whether he'd rather have Murderous Cut as insurance over something like Hallowed Moonlight. The Surge of Righteousness has to come out. The Ultimate Prices have to come out. They're just worse than the Murderous Cuts. Horribly awry.
So Chapin resolved a Tassiger, and he's activating it as a response to Quarantine Field. He's going to activate it twice as a response to Quarantine Field.
This is just tons and tons of card advantage in the end.
Yeah, Chapin is just up cards. Andrew has managed to deal with a Jace, an Ojutai, and a Tassiger, but Andrew's on 1 card, and Patrick's full.
Shambling Vents is going to get a hit in.
Please, all tapped out. Yeah, Patrick's on 7 cards to Andrew's 1.
He's going to cast a Dig Through Time. An Ugin would lock things up, I imagine.
Did he not take the Ugin off that earlier Anticipate?
Not sure.
I guess he didn't. I don't see it in his hand, so he must not have. All the more reason to crack a fetch land before you dig, right? If you put it on the bottom. Yeah, Ugin is particularly good against all the enchantments that Andrew runs. There's an Ugin.
Let's do it.
Patrick does have mana. Andrew's on, what, 2 untapped lands? 1 card in hand?
The question is whether Cuneo is going to untap or concede. Oh, Chapin's not going to even bother yet. Cuneo on 1 card in hand. Chapin's going to wait till he has all his mana untapped.
Huh.
Looks like he has another Dig Through Time in his hand.
He's going to go for Obnixilis. And resolve it.
Yeah, just another thing to die to Ugin.
Yeah. Ugin's now going to go -5. Is this that other dig through time?
I believe so.
Reasonable. Andrew does have that Silumgar's command. Negate mode, is that what we called it?
Just going to bounce off Nixilus. I think knowing Ugin's coming down, but that should still just end the game. And duress.
Five, 6, 7, 8.
Ugin with scatter. And
You might look at your top card. Right. I think I go 1 draw step and then concede. Because your draw step might be dig through time. It's a handshake? Was that the match? We were told this was game 2. Are we just wrong? And this was game 3 the whole time?
yeah, it wouldn't have surprised me if Jace won that
That was a
game,
handshake. Yeah, that Jace game did end, and then we came back over. Graphics guy dropped the ball there. Sorry about that, guys. Patrick Chapin is victorious. That was game 3, and Pat stays undefeated. 9-0-1 with his Esper control deck. Cuneo was 8-0, but that was 2 rounds ago.
Yeah.
Now he's going to have to rattle off 4, maybe 5 wins if he's going to make this top 8.
I'm guessing 5.
Meanwhile, back on the turbo table, Owen Turtenwald against Brian Demars. Owen is on Jeskai. Jeskai is the most played deck, to the surprise of absolutely no one. Brian Demars, meanwhile, I think he's on Rally. Yeah, 4-color Rally. Dueling turn 2 Jaces.
when Jace lives, things usually go pretty well for Jeskai.
Even when it's Jace on the other side?
You get to untap with at least 3 mana to your disposal and an active Jace, you probably find an answer.
Fair enough. And he did. Utter end.
And even just finding anything you could put in the graveyard would have meant that Jace could have flipped and flashed back a Kolaghan's command. So, Jace number 3, though.
Dies to Crackling Doom. Wow. Owen choosing not to flip his Jace. Prefers to dig through time.
And being able to filter your hand every turn is just really powerful. If you're not going to be flashing back cards and you're not under pressure where you need to be giving a creature -2/-0, just keep that Jace around.
Tasigur and Mantis Rider for Owen. Wow, and Jace just dies to the Merciless Executioner. Tasigur and Mantis Rider do seem to be pretty well positioned to clean up this game. Jace did all his work in Vryn's Prodigy form.
Attention Grand Prix players.
Yeah, Jace right where you want them. In the graveyard to be brought back with
Please
those
finish your turn and begin your 5-turn extension. Once again,
Collected Company
as
resolves,
time
though, for
in
Brian
the
Demars.
round.
Comes up with a Catacomb Sifter and a Zulaport Cutthroat. It's not nothing. It may actually slow down Tasigur, but not Mantis Rider.
Yeah, this rally deck, in testing it really seemed to struggle quite a bit with Jeskai. Mantis Rider was a really hard card to deal with, and then once you have access to cards like Dispel and Negate, you would actually stop the rally, and Jeskai deck has a lot of answers to Jace. It was just a really tough matchup.
Yeah, you guys thought about playing Rally, right?
It
At
was
the Pro Tour?
Yeah, it was our number 2 deck. If it was better against Jeskai, probably would have played it.
Well, Rally does resolve here.
Yeah, but there's no Nantuko Husk.
Yeah, it's really Nantuko Husk that stitches all the combos together. And you liked the 4-color version of the Rally deck, right? None of this blue-black, Whirler Rogue.
Well, yeah, that's no longer a Rally deck at that point, but the card
It's a
Rally...
Nantuko Husk deck,
yes,
right? It's
different versions of the Sacrifice deck. I'm not sure. I haven't playtested all of them. I think that this is the most powerful version, yes.
Well, this is if you stick to most powerful version, that's almost easy. Yes, the 4-color version.
I think
that
this is the
splashes
version
for a
that gives
double
you the
white spell.
best chance at winning.
Okay, that's a more interesting claim.
That's typically what I mean by most powerful, even though it's semantically incorrect.
Sure.
If I say Jeskai is the most powerful deck, yes, you could add Siege Rhinos to it and it would have more power. But
Yeah, Rally got some value for Brian Demars, who may make this an interesting game still. But without the Nantuko Husk, there was certainly a limit to the amount of value he got there.
yeah, those creatures get exiled and he doesn't get Haruspex triggers, right? Isn't that
Correct. No
what
hair
happens
specs
with a lot
triggers.
of them? There's Nantuko Husk.
More Mantis Rider beats. He said this deck struggles to deal with the 3-power Hasty Flyer.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there just aren't flyers in the deck and there aren't really removal spells, so...
All right, now he's got a Haruspex and a Nantuko Husk. So it is suddenly possible to draw lots of cards. Nantuko Husk is potentially lethal attacker, though Jace steps up. Jeskai Charm here is This is Jeskai Charm to kill you. Yeah, Jeskai Charm. Owen Turtenwald wins game 1. Brian dug a little bit, sacking creatures to dig with the Harrispecs, but no way to survive that hit from the Mantis Rider that was going to happen on Owen's turn. Elvish Visionary for Demars. The report Cutthroat is the follow-up.
It's a solid start.
Mm-hmm.
No Jace on the other side is also a solid start.
How much green did you guys have in the deck? Did you have Catacomb Sifter?
Oh, absolutely. Catacomb Sifter was one of the most valuable cards. Zulapur Cutthroat is kind of, and Nantico Husk are what you need, but Catacomb Sifter, without that, the deck just doesn't really work.
I'm surprised how many versions of it I've seen that don't have Catacomb Sifter.
Really? Like, that have green?
Nassif doesn't have the Sifter. Nassif ran this at the Pro Tour into
Does he
day
not
2.
have Sifter?
No,
That
his
seems
green was
really bizarre.
Collected Company. I'm pretty sure there was no Catacomb Sifter. And then obviously the blue-black version at the Pro Tour didn't bother to splash green.
Right. It's kind of just a different deck, not really relying on the rally and going with kind of a different combo with Whirler
Well,
Rogue,
Nassif's
a
isn't
little bit
rally
more.
either, right? You can do
Right.
blue-black with Whirler Rogue, Nantuko Husk. You can do blue-black green where you add Collected Company, trying to hit Husk more reliably, and then you can go all the way to white for rally. I don't know. I think of them all as Nantuko Husk decks. But
Attention,
They are.
Grand Prix players. Pairing for round 11 are now posted.
certainly true that the 4-color version is the combo version.
To post those pairings again. Pairings for round 11.
Owen
are now
frantically
posted.
digging through all of time, making Patrick Chapin tokens.
I realized Chapin was the 5/5 dragon of choice. Makes a good flyer.
Nick Vanderplague. Nick Vanderplague. and Christopher
Another outcast.
Drowse. Christopher Drowse, please join your draft number 46 at the gathering point. They are waiting on you.
And there you go. Owen Turtenwald wins 2-0. Owen came in, I believe, 8-1. Let me
7-2.
double check that. Oh, he was 7-2. Yeah, he was 7-2. So still very much alive at 8-2. Looking for another deep run at another Grand Prix. His 11-4 streak ended. Maybe he's going to start a new streak up. That is going to do things for round 10 here at Grand Prix Indianapolis.